Hey, so I can never actually do one of my videos without having to do it three fucking times because either I get halfway through it and someone interrupts me, or I have like a brain fart at some point in the beginning, or it's just like I can never get a video on the first take, like ever. So this is gonna be an experience video. It's gonna be from a couple weeks ago. Well, actually more like a week and a half ago, but regardless, it's gonna be from the show with Andy Black, Andy Biersick, aka Andy Black, whatever, however you want to go about it. Um, and so basically, I mostly did it for my sister. Like, even though I listen to Andy's stuff and I like him, obviously, because of Black Veil Brides and whatnot, I honestly didn't really care all that much about paying as much as I did for just him, you know? But I did it anyway because I know my sister's like really into them and all that. So I bought it. It's about a couple weeks ago, like I said. I picked up my sister a little bit beforehand, like I want to say like 11 o'clock that morning, 10:30 ish. Um, and then we kind of started heading that way, slowly but surely. We had a couple pit stops on the way, just because I didn't want to get there like too early, you know. We ended up eventually getting there at like 1 or no, it was more like 2-ish, give or take. But then between trying to fucking find a parking lot and all the other crap, because Obama just so happened to be in Seattle that day, it took me almost an hour to park and to get us up there. So we were up there around like 2, well, close to 3, but not quite 3 yet. So, well, then we walked over to because it's right across from the Pikes Market. We walked over to the market because I had to pee really bad, and I don't know what it is. My bladder's a bitch. Can't hold it. I'm like a small child. So, anyway, so we do that, and then all of a sudden I look at my sister and I'm like, son of a bitch. And she's like, what? I'm like, I left my tickets in the car. She was like, are you freaking kidding me, Megan? And I'm like, I am sorry. Now, keep in mind, my sister is like 15. And granted, she's athletic. She's gotten to be not so athletic these last couple of years. But as I can say to that, same. Once you hit like 15 or 16, you just don't give a fuck anymore. You're like, I don't want to do this. What is exercise? So we had to walk all the way downhill back to the car to go get the tickets. We pick up the tickets, and I look at her, I'm like, get ready to embrace the uphill again. Because it was like we had to go downhill and then down a set of steps and then up the hill. It was ridiculous. So we go back, we get the tickets, we go up, we're waiting. Now it's about like 3:15, 3:30-ish. So I'm like, okay, we only have to wait 30 minutes. Wrong. We went in at like 5, and doors were at 6:30, and I'm like, oh hell, this is gonna be fun, because there was a shit ton of people for the VIP. So now I'm like, great, it's gonna have to be like, hey, bye. So we're in there waiting, and we were like the first people in the VIP line. Well, there was these 2 other girls in front of us, but we pretty much started talking to them. We were pretty much part of their little group, so it ended up being all of us technically first. But so we're standing there, we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. The manager comes out, and he's kind of like telling us, you know, the basic rules, like, and they're the same as any other meet and greet, really, of anybody else. Except then he's like, yeah, so how many pictures are you guys allowed to take? And everyone's like, 1. He's like, right. What did he say? How many? He asked another question and the answer was 1, but I can't remember what it is now. And then he goes, how many things can you get signed? That's what it was. Well, then he goes, how many hugs are you allowed to get? And everyone said 1, and he did like a 0 with his hand. Kind of like a, you know? And everyone's kind of like, why? And he explains why, and I mean, it's simple as the fact that the first person gets a hug, everyone else wants a hug, and then it takes up twice as much time, and that they were in a hurry, so they really didn't have time for people to hug. So, anyway, so after all the rules, we're sitting there for even longer, like probably another 5 or 10 minutes, Now we've got like 45 minutes until people are going to come in. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is going to be fun. So, sorry, I'm like, I have like, when I get during videos, sometimes I get stressed and I just start doing random. Yeah. Anyway, so finally he comes out and, he walks past us and my sister looks at me and gives me this like big giant smile on her face and is like, oh my God. And I'm like, chill. But let me remind you, beforehand, when we were waiting outside and she realized we were getting ready to go in, she looks at me and serious as she could and goes, I can't breathe. And I wasn't sure whether she was being funny or serious. I looked at her, I'm like, are you legitimately unable to breathe? Like, are you really having an issue? Like, do I need to call a doctor? Or are you being sarcastic? She's like, I can't breathe. I'm like, okay, you're being sarcastic. Well, yeah, so then he walks past us and then he sits down and, I mean, it was so quick, it was stupid. But it was still worth it at the exact same fucking time. Like, the two girls in front of us went up there and talked to them real quick, got their thing signed, took their pictures, and before I knew it, I was up there, because I looked at my sister, I go, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? She's like, you please. I'm like, of course. So I go up there, and I just say hi, you know, he says, how are you? I'm like, I'm good, and then he was just kind of like, that's good. And then we took our picture together real quick, and then as I'm walking away, the guy goes to give me my phone back, and he's like, oh my God, I love your phone case. And I'm like, thank you. Like, I was just kind of like, okay, this is a big deal. Like, holy shit. So then I walk away, and I had to kind of stand close so I could wait for my sister. And she comes after she goes up there and takes her picture with him and everything. She walks up to me, and she did that exact same face again. She was like, holy shit. And I'm like, breathe. And she's like, I can't. And I'm like, okay, you need to. And it was pretty funny. But we were standing there. And as much as I understand when you meet somebody and you get excited and sometimes you cry. I've been there, done that, past that shit. Thank the Lord, have mercy on my soul. I haven't done that in a couple years. But I saw so many girls that were just bawling, and I'm like, I can't with you today. I really can't. Because the thing is, it's Andy. Like, so many girls over-exaggerate over him and cry over him, or even if he breathes. Like, so I was just kind of like, okay, stop. Not to my sister, because her, I was just like, whatever, and I let her be excited, but it just, certain people annoyed me. Like, they just cried too much. But anyway, so finally we're waiting for them to finish the signing. They let us in. We get our spots. We're like front row center. Basically front row center. Like, we were like just one person to the right. We were front row center. And then we're just kind of waiting around, and like, eventually the opener comes on. And it was this band, Colors. It was like 2 people. But they were pretty good. Like, I can't remember the vibe they kind of gave me, but they were pretty good. Except for the people behind us. I understand when it's opening bands, you want to, like, kind of encourage them a little bit. And you want to be like, woo! You know, you're doing awesome. Keep going. But then at the same time, you just get those girls, and I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Like, these girls behind me were just, like, non-stop screaming, non-stop, you're hot, non-stop, have my babies, non-stop, reaching for him anytime he came in the vicinity of us, to the point where I was just like, I don't even want them to play anymore. I just want them to get the fuck off the stage. But then at the same time, those same girls are going to be the ones that are doing the same shit over Andy twice as hard. So I'm like, this is a catch-22. Well, eventually they obviously end. And we had to wait a little bit, probably like 30 minutes till Andy came on, not even, maybe like 20. And he came on, and holy fucking shit, that room got loud as fuck when he came out. Like, it was ridiculous. And, you know, he was playing, and he was doing good, and he had to do a lot of talking between songs, because, you know, only 10 songs, you still gotta make it an hour and a half, you gotta make it work. So, but he had it going for most of the night. He was talking and making people laugh and being his sassy Andy. So it was a really good show overall. But at one point, after one of the songs, I can't remember which one, I want to say it was like the third, it was like right after Dancing with Myself, that he was like finally talking and, oh no, I lied, I'm sorry. It was after Ribcage, he started talking, and then he sang Dancing with Myself, and then right after Dancing with Myself, he was talking again, and he looks over at my sister and kind of goes, and, but it obviously was a lot hotter looking than that, because I'm not Andy, okay? So he was like, so he does that to her, and then he kind of winks at her, and I can't wink, so sue me. And she's like, what? Because she got it on video, and then like the girl behind me is like, what is she freaking out about? I'm like, he just did the eyebrow thing. She was like, what? I'm like, he just did the eyebrow thing. She was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, he just did the eyebrow thing. And like my sister's like, you two need to chill. I'm like, no, he just did the eyebrow thing. Like I had lost my cool there for a minute. Well then he kept on playing, and then right after the following song, which was Louder Than Your Love, he's talking, he's doing his thing, and I went to pull out my phone to take a picture of him for my cousin. She's like a huge fan of him, and she's been a fan longer than anybody else I know as far as like people I hang out with and whatnot. So, I go to take a picture on my phone, and I can't figure out why it's cloudy, first of all. Secondly, I'm like, okay, this is a big-ass phone. It's going to attract some sort of attention, I'm sure. I'm up, sitting there trying to test this camera out, figure out why the fuck it's got all this cloudy look to it. Well, finally, the lighting changes in the room a little bit, so then it just kind of looks like there's like a godly, like, awe around Andy, you know? Like you make angels sing type thing. So, I take the picture, and then all of a sudden he stops, like deer in the headlights, looks down, and he's like, hello, and I'm like, fuck, on the inside. And then on the outside, I'm just like, hi. And, the girls behind me lost their shit, because they're like, these two are so lucky, what the fuck? Like, because I had been talking all day long about every experience I have had with bands, and if you follow me enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, they were just going on and on about how lucky I am. And then I'm thinking to myself, why me? Is it the Baymax phone case? You know, and then he's continuing to talk, but then he starts bashing me about my phone, about how people tend to have phones out a lot, and I'm like, great. Well, then he started talking good about it too, but about 2 seconds after he did that, and he's still talking, the security guy comes over to me and goes, turn off your flash. I'm like, fuck! And like, then that's when I realized, I'm like, no, he fucking probably said that to me, because I probably flashed, and then it like went in his eye, and he was probably like, Jesus fucking Christ, woman. So then he felt the need to say hello, because it attracted the attention of the flash. So I'm like, shit, now I feel like an asshole. I turn it off, and I tell the security guy, sorry, I honestly didn't know it was on. He was like, it's all good. Just wanted to let you know. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And he walks away, and I'm like, fuck. So, yeah, it was pretty funny. Pretty bad, but pretty funny. So, well, then the show continues on. He has his encore, comes out. Everything was great. Whole show was good. I had originally intended on staying afterwards. Never really did, just because I was kind of like, eh. Because my sister and I had met him beforehand, so we kind of just figured, fuck it. But yeah, overall the show was pretty nice. I just kind of loved having the experience, but I mean, I honestly would prefer to eventually meet the Blackville Brides in full one day. Just because I've only ever met Andy twice now. But I can't seem to be at the right place at the right time to meet the rest of them, so it's like me with Pierce the Mailman. But anyway, so I'm going to get off of this now because it is now growing at 14 minutes. And I'll be back here in a couple weeks when I do my Panic at the Disco experience video. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope you continue to watch me talk and listen to my annoying ass voice and stare at my ugly ass face. But yeah, I'm out. Love you guys.